Unsolved Northwest team is working to bring some of Washington's 3,000 open murder and missing persons cases back into the spotlight. Here's a collection of recent cases that Unsolved Northwest has researched. Featured today are the cases of the fatal shooting of a beloved community activist, the disappearance of a young Lake Forest Park mother, and more.
Another life lost, another makeshift memorial on a Seattle street.
Everybody loved him. Everybody knew him. I miss him a lot.
I don't understand. I don't.
His name kind of summed him up.
Tyrone Love.
Love's two sisters just want closure.
You see people on the street every day. You don't know, well, did this person have something to do with my brother's murder?
My name is Christina Bradford.
My name is Gwendolyn Love.
I'm the youngest sister of Tyrone Love.
My brother was Tyrone Love. He was my big brother.
He was kind of like a big brother to a lot of people.
Tyrone was very funny.
He was very, very optimistic.
He didn't really have a bad bone in his body. Like, everyone got along with him.
You couldn't find no one around here to say anything bad about him because he was just that guy that everybody loved.
You knew Tyrone Love, you was cool with him.
What I liked about him is that he seemed to be able to show up as his authentic self. My name is Shikundi Salisbury, and I am a good friend, or big bro, if you will, of Tyrone Love.
Young, black, positive role model.
He was this community person, and of course, he was a party promoter.
It was President's Day weekend, and Love was in Pioneer Square working at a club he was promoting for. He then left the club, and according to his sister, went to a convenience store in his neighborhood when he then decided to walk home. He never made it.
Just hours before he was shot, he and his company hosted a President's Day party at a Seattle nightclub.
It was a Sunday night, and we were kind of the only thing going on that holiday weekend. And then I just remember saying peace and, you know, I'll see you later. And I went home. My friend Jamar had texted me and said, hey, Tyrone didn't make it home.
I woke up that morning to a text message from a friend who was saying someone got murdered in the neighborhood. I just remember hearing my mother wail, seeing my mother, and then getting that text message. I kind of put two and two together.
I think the hardest part was like knowing how much pain my mother and sister were in. In that I couldn't really do anything to take that pain for them.
Having to actually experience that firsthand is like having your soul ripped from you.
Who has that much hate in their heart to try and take somebody like that out of this world?
A witness to the crime says a man pulled up in a car at Cherry and 27th Street, got out of the car, and shot Tyrone Love several times, got back in the car, then sped off. The autopsy report revealed more details.
Reading it was so painful. There was at least maybe 11 contact hits. His head, different parts of his body. You're not blindly firing.
So whoever killed him meant to kill him.
There was no trouble at the party, but sources tell King 5 police are investigating whether Love could have been targeted for a chilling reason.
3 months before Love was killed, a murder happened at a party he was promoting. And people close to this case believe the two murders may be connected.
There was a situation where at one of his parties, somebody was murdered. He didn't see anything. He was outside when it happened, but he just kind of assisted with whatever they needed in that case. Some people felt that it was a retaliation of some sort.
After Tyrone Love was murdered, family and friends attended a funeral at Madrona Presbyterian. It was standing room only.
It was really amazing to see. He touched so many people's lives. It was just so packed and so filled with love.
I really haven't seen the love and the community and the network that happened behind Tyrone.
The neighborhood raised money to provide for his funeral, so the funeral costs would be paid.
We reached out to Seattle police, and they tell me it is still an active case. Tyrone Love's sisters hope someone out there knows something.
Our grandmother down here, every time I speak to her, she is asking if there's an update on Tyrone's case, and I don't have anything.
You know, I'm very hopeful that we'll have justice for Tyrone.
I'm hoping that there's gonna be some kind of like good news from this.
Serena tried to stay as happy as possible, which she was always known for, is like always smiling.
She was the goofy one.
She talks to everybody.
She was very protective. Anything happened, she tried to play the big sister.
My name is Sheila Turner.
My name is Patrice Reddick.
And I'm the mother of Serena Turner.
And my sister's name is Serena Turner.
She had her ups and downs in life, but you know, that's just life with anybody. Serena always wanted to be the June Cleaver in life. She wanted to be that housewife with a lot of kids, and that was just her. That's what she wanted.
29-year-old Serena Turner was, by all accounts, full of potential. But all of that changed in December of 2020.
That night, she had just walked out the door. She said she'll be back. She was headed to another county, and she ended up calling and said, "Oh, Mom, you know, I'll just see you guys tomorrow." And because we were supposed to go to church that Sunday, but she never came home.
He's driving westbound on Highway 18. He's just a little bit east of Jenks Creek. The detective ends up circling back around, pulls into that little dead-end road, gets out to investigate, see why this car was there. He walks to the back where he saw the car and finds Serena in the embankment.
That's when Serena's mom gets the phone call that changed her life.
It took me almost a year to stop playing that over and over in my head because it wouldn't go away.
I got the phone call. I was actually at work, and when my mom called me, I didn't think it was real. I'm just like, I don't believe this until I see her body. You see a sibling one day, then the next they're gone. That was pretty hard. I just wonder who could bring themselves to do that to any human being. That's what bothers me the most.
Why do you feel it's important to talk about it now?
Well, now I feel like it's important because I need to speak for myself, let my own words be heard, let my face be seen.
The King County Sheriff's Office is not calling this a cold case. They say it's war, but say they need the public to come forward with any information as to who may have killed Serena Turner.
Everything in the dark always comes to the light, and I'm a firm believer of that.
We'll never get Serena back, but you know, everybody got to be held accountable for their actions. We want this to just come to an end. Let her get her peace. Let our family get the peace that we need.
This one's heavy. When I look at her stuff, I feel sad, but I don't know that I feel connected to her and who she was. She kept every card she ever got.
Is it possible there are some answers in here?
I don't know.
You were 2 when she went missing. Tell me what memories you have of her.
Well, I hear she was very strong and beautiful and confident and loving and caring. I'm Jamie. My mother was Barbara Annette McClure, and so I am her daughter. My only memory is being at my aunt's house a few weeks after and asking when we were going to see my mom.
My name is Detective John Free. I'm with the King County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit. November 2nd, 1978, Barbara went with some friends to the Sirloin Inn. There was an argument that took place between Barbara and one of her friends, and Barbara decided to take a walk, purportedly to walk home. Some of her friends got into a vehicle and they drove after her, tried to convince her to get into the car so they could drive her home. She declined, said that she wanted to keep walking, and that was the last time anybody saw her. 6 days later, her driver's license was found where 405 and I-5 intersect.
Just her driver's license, nothing else?
Yes.
She had probably her wallet on her, or purse, or how do you all connect the dots there?
She had a leather jacket, a brown cloth purse, brown boots. That was what she was last seen wearing. None of those items were found.
Her license was found at an interchange, and you believe the proximity of that is really important to this investigation.
Nothing else was found. I think the placement is very interesting.
How did it end up there? Why did it end up there? Was it dropped by her? Was it dropped by somebody else? That's obviously a major question regarding this investigation.
I do think it was put there by somebody.
It was intentionally left.
It was intentionally left. I'm Carlene Clapp, Jamie's my cousin, and Barb was my aunt. I was told she went away and was coming back. This is the day that your dad brought you to us. Your mom was already missing. We weren't involved in that night, just before, and the pain after. Barb wouldn't just vanish. She wouldn't just all of a sudden not be there. You know, I just felt from day one, it's ugly, it's gonna be ugly. My name's Margalie Smith, and Barbara McClure and I went to high school together. She had a twinkle in her eyes, and she was very matter of fact. My husband and I offered to take care of Jamie. And she said, thank you, but Jamie was going to her dad's for the weekend. That was the last time we talked. Your gut feeling is it's not good.
This is supposedly the last place someone saw my mom alive.
And how far away is this from her home?
5 miles.
What do you think happened to her?
I will say that my entire life, I've never felt like she was dead. And certainly not out of that being the best scenario for me, because the idea of saying she left would be harder. I say that now, sitting here, because today I don't know that I know what I believe anymore. But with everything that we have been talking and looking at, I feel like there is a lot of other possibilities.
I think that this is an investigation that can be solved.
There are people that are here right now that know exactly what happened that night. And I believe that.
Somebody knows the truth. So that's what I'm hoping for. It just should never have happened. Just never have happened.
My hope is that people will look at me and say, there was a 2-year-old little girl who lost her mom, and you know something, or you may have just a tidbit of information that may lead us to something important and some answers. I think that's my hope.
Co-workers say Kearns is an accomplished day hiker, but it would be very unlike her to go out and stay several days. That adds to their worry and the urgency of the search.
She was beautiful. I mean, she was absolutely beautiful.
She was so happy. It was just that glow on her face.
She had like these very, very clear eyes that to me like reminded me of, you know, the mountain streams that we had up there.
The person they're describing is Sheila Kars, a woman they worked with at Mount Rainier National Park.
This was the summer of '96. Around August, most of the kids go back to school. So the crew's kind of down, but we still need to finish up for about 6 weeks. That's when Sheila came on.
Are you done with these?
She worked the front desk, but she always would say hi to me and we would talk, and she just had this infectious smile about her. She just glowed.
You know, you definitely got the sense that she loved being up at the park and at Rainier.
And I always throw a going away party or farewell party for everybody. I'd build a great big fire and get a keg of beer and of course some food to feed them, and we're just saying goodbye to everybody. And Sheila came up. I'll never forget this. She came up to the fire and just the glow on her face, and she goes, "Jules, I got hired on for the winter crew." She goes, "I'm so excited, we'll be working together." And I was just like, wow, that's great. And that's the last time I saw her.
Sheila Kars went missing in October of 1996.
She dined here with friends and co-workers Friday night, and that's the last time anyone saw her.
Now we're looking for is just anything that will give us some kind of direction.
Multiple law enforcement agencies responded once Sheila went missing, including the National Park Service. But the FBI took over the case because it happened in a national park.
At the time that she was reported missing, she was moving into some new housing at Mount Rainier National Park.
The manager who tried to find her the next day went to her room because she didn't show up for work. They said that her slippers were real nice and tidy. They were right by the bed, and her bed was, she hadn't slept in it.
There was apparently like this massive 3-day search, like with dogs. How could they not have found her? I find that strange. I think she was under the snow at the time.
It wasn't until May of '97 her remains were located.
Well, right now we're looking at the community building. This is the old Longmire campground. This is where Sheila's remains were initially found.
Her remains had been scattered around about a 300-yard area.
And then when I found out a couple of months later that this is where her body was found, I mean, that was just, I mean, like a visceral gut hit. Until this day, I have never come back here.
When Sheila went missing, the FBI spoke to a number of possible suspects, including some of the people we spoke with for our story. However, investigators say everyone they spoke with was cleared.
Just because a person was cleared in an investigation a number of years ago doesn't mean that new information might come to light which makes them a subject or a suspect again.
It's just a sinister type aura around what had happened to her. And it made you wonder, like, you know, is there somebody out there?
I didn't want that fear to limit how I lived my life, and simultaneously it did limit how I lived my life. I mean, even to this day, when I look at Mount Rainier, it's a haunted place for me because of that, because of what happened to her.
We know that she left a note. We have no idea where she went, who she might have went with, or what her plans were.
I remember Sheila as somebody who was incredibly spiritual, very soft-spoken, very introspective. I'm Ryan Hill, and I worked with Sheila Kars at Mount Rainier National Park in 1996. She also was incredibly careful, always on edge that or something from her past was coming to catch up with her.
She seemed like a person who had a past in some way. I don't know what that past was, but just that she was trying to start clean and fresh.
She married a fella, and she put him through med school, and then he said adios after he got his degree, and that's how she came up to our place.
Sheila was reported missing, or was last seen around October 4th. It wasn't until May of '97 that her remains were located at a nearby area near the housing that she was moving into.
She came in the middle of August, September, and the first week of October. I mean, that's only like 6 or 7 weeks for something like this, so devastating to happen to somebody that was just with us so shortly.
The FBI tells us they have a couple of theories about how Sheila was killed.
Two include that maybe she was attacked by a mountain lion while she was out for a walk.
I don't think she was going to go out for a walk, is what the rangers said, that she liked to go out there for a walk and a cougar got her.
There's also the theory that she was abducted and killed. We were unable back then to collect enough physical evidence to support either of those theories.
It's very discouraging that 27 years later, what happened to Sheila is still a mystery. Throughout the years, there has been less and less information about the story on the internet.
When we started to research this story, we didn't find very much about this case either. However, over the years, there was one person who kept digging for details. Dixie Walter was a reporter at a small newspaper in Eatonville. Over the years, she recorded and kept every interview she did, including with Sheila's mom, Olive, and Sheila's former co-worker, Jules Hayden.
It's too many questions. Well, that's it. There's too many questions, and they all have to be answered at some point. And there is an answer. There's got to be. There's an answer to every mystery.
She contacted me as a person of interest that had worked with her. And we would sit there and ponder that back and forth, back and forth. I'm going, no, it couldn't be him. No, but you never know. Never know. I was just listening to a tape of Olive the other night with Dixie talking to her, and it was just so sad.
See, I don't really care now about them finding who did it. I know I shouldn't feel like that. You just want to put her to rest. Yeah, I do. I just don't feel like maybe I'll face up to it better to just put her to rest.
The amount of research and the amount of hours that she spent making phone calls, interviewing people, trying to connect loose ends together.
She was the one who was keeping the story alive.
While the Kearns case went closed, Dixie's reporting has revived Sheila's story. And now her friends and family are seeking justice and closure, while the FBI says more than anything, they are seeking anyone who will speak up.
There are some people that knew her well that are still in the area. For them to come forward and tell us again what they remember, what they know, would be very helpful.
Like if the story reaches one person, who calls the FBI, that could be the missing piece that would solve the case and bring Sheila and her family, justice and closure.
The Unsolved Northwest team is speaking with victims' families and detectives and is digging through archives in hopes of spotlighting these cases, but we need your help. Missing persons cases, murders, and other mysteries are solvable, and you might have the piece of information that leads to answers. Visit king5.com/unsolved to read more, and while you're there, you can also suggest a case we should look into, or you can leave a tip. And stay tuned for a new Unsolved Northwest special happening in November.